Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna be doing the Get to Know Ya book tag, and I was tagged by Bookstreet9 Tribute, and she tagged me June of 2018, so I'm almost 2 years behind on my tags. That happens when you're already woefully behind on tags and then you take an 8-month break from making videos. So I'm back at it, trying to catch up as much as I can. And this is a really fun tag, so I'm very excited. I just get to talk about all of the best books, and it's wonderful. The first question is, what's your favorite book? Straightforward. My favorite book right now is The Fisherman by John Langan, which is a literary horror novel. It has roots in folklore and delves deep into the theme of grief. It follows a man who's lost his wife and he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's beside himself with grief. He starts to go fishing all the time as a way to get his mind off of things. He befriends another coworker that also has a personal tragedy in his life, and they discover an area in the rivers where they fish that supernatural things start to happen. And this book came into my life at just the right time. I was dealing with the death of my own mother, and this book helped me a lot. I can't really describe exactly what this book means to me, but I love it beyond all measure. I listened to the audiobook of this book, and it has this really slow, older man as a narrator, like a slow voice, kind of dreamlike and dreamy type sounding, and I thought it was perfect, especially towards the end of the book. I could visualize everything that was going on so intensely, and it was like a very strange, eerie dream going on around me. And not too many books can do that, be that special and make that intense of an experience. And that book will always have a special place in my heart, for sure. I absolutely love it. It is like the perfect book for me. Question 2 is, what was your favorite book 5 years ago? I was an avid reader by then. I became someone who read a whole lot of the time in 2012. So 5 years ago, 2015, I was reading a lot, but I was definitely a fantasy girl. I was reading pretty much all fantasy series at that point. Number one favorite book of any of them was The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. This book kind of opened my eyes to the different kinds of things that fantasy could do, and it just kind of blew my mind at the time, and I fell in love with it. In this book, the second book in the Dark Tower series, we meet the rest of the quartet, or the group that's destined to work together with the gunslinger Roland. I absolutely love the members of the team and getting to know them and how different they are and how they come from such different places and times, and it's just mind-blowing. It's a great book, and I will always love it. I recently reread it, and it was just as good as the first time. So, hooray, love it. Question 3 is, what is your favorite series? My favorite overall series are the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. This is the special edition illustrated version of Clash of Kings that I picked up before my book buying ban started, and it's just beautiful. Even though I had an old paperback, I had to have this beautiful version, just because this is my favorite series. So yeah, I want all of the beautiful things having to do with this series. Song of Ice and Fire, yeah! By the way, I have my Song of Ice and Fire mug. And I do have another favorite series that I discovered in about 2013, and that is the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. This has been my favorite since then. They're just super fun, super readable, fantastic characters, super engaging plot, and love, love, love forever. Question 4, what is the last book that you read? I just finished Fall of Giants by Ken Follett. Ken Follett is such a great author. I absolutely loved Pillars of the Earth by him, and I thought I would check out his other big series, which the first book is Fall of Giants, and it is a historical fiction series, which so is Pillars of the Earth. But this one was set during World War I, and it has about a dozen characters that you follow, and it's changing perspectives, kind of like Song of Ice and Fire. So maybe that's something I really like. I don't know. But I thought that was a brilliant way to do a World War I novel, because he started the book before the war starts, and there's these characters in different parts of the world, and it kind of tells their story and what life is like pre-war. And then some of them end up in different parts of the world. So there's characters spread out all over the place, like 5 or 6 different countries. And then you get to see what the war would be like through the lens of a lot of different countries, armies, and citizens, and politicians, things going on all over. And it goes all the way from before this war starts all the way to the end of the war, and a little bit after the war's over, how things kind of wrap up with all these characters. So that was a great read, 5 stars. I think the next book in the series is set during World War II, so if it's as well done as this one, then I'm sure I will love it. Number 5, what is the last book of poetry that you read? I don't read a lot of poetry, like, at all, but I did read one recently, and that is I Am Not Your Final Girl. This is a book of horror poems by Claire C. Holland, and they are all based on final girls from all of our favorite horror movies, and it kind of is from their perspective and their take on things and the things done to them and whatnot. It's really good. So, highly recommend, especially if you love horror movies and poetry. So, question 6, what book most influenced your life? I will say that there is a book that influenced my life in 2012 as far as making me a reader, getting me into reading all the time for the first time in my life. And that was the Twilight series, probably the first book, Twilight. Yeah, so if the Twilight movie hadn't come out and I wouldn't have loved it and bought the books and read them about 3 times in a row, over and over and over, I never would have found my love of reading and started reading all the time. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have this channel. I wouldn't have these books behind me. I didn't own any books before that. So that was a big turning point, and it has changed my life in considerable ways. So yes, Twilight changed my life. Question 7. What is a book that made you ugly cry? One that sticks out in my mind as one that definitely made me ugly cry a lot, considering how short it is. There was a lot of crying going on, and that was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Again, a very personal topic to me. My mother had just died of cancer, and this is about a boy whose mother is dying of cancer, and it was very sad. Yep. I think most people probably cry a lot reading that book, but yeah, I was kind of a wreck, but I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. Another book, it didn't make me cry all the way through like A Monster Calls, but this book definitely surprised me a lot and made me cry a lot and made me really, yeah, definitely a wreck after a certain part in this little gem, Storm of Swords, book 3 in the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. Was not expecting that. Anyways, this series is the best and everyone should read it if you have not. Number 8 is a book that made you laugh. A lot of books make me laugh. It doesn't take much. I'm pretty quick to laughter. So a lot of books could be the answer to this, but one that is like supposed to be a comedy and supposed to make you laugh and that I did find humorous is John Dies at the End by David Wong. It's a comedy horror novel that is now a series that I need to continue at some point. It's just a really weird book, but it definitely made me chuckle quite a bit. Question 9, a character you would like to be for a day. I would want to be Lissa Dragomir from the Vampire Academy series, because I just think that it would be pretty amazing to be vampire royalty for a day. I mean, that just sounds fabulous, right? I definitely have a thing for vampires, and that would be a dream, I think. Question 10 is a book so good you dreamt about it. I definitely had a lot of dreams while reading The Siren and the Spectre by Jonathan Janz, and they were definitely nightmares, very scary dreams. So I knew it was a good book, and it was affecting me a lot when I started having a lot of nightmares about it. Probably helps that I was reading it at night, because I read ebooks at night, right before going to sleep. So, question 11, a book you DNF'd. I have a few books that I have DNF'd over the years, but the latest one is The Last Star by Rick Yancey, which is the 3rd book in the 5th Wave series. Yeah. And I tried picking up the third book after not reading the second book for years and years and years, and I just could not get into it. I couldn't really remember what had happened. Wasn't getting anything out of it. Plus I wasn't really into the writing style. I was not enjoying it at all, so I only got about 20% in and then I quit. Sometimes I can handle coming back to a series after a long time. I mean, a lot of times I can. I just read the second book in the Maze Runner series, and that went really well. I still remembered most of the story, and the writing style was agreeable, and I got through it no problem. So I don't know why Fifth Wave wasn't working for me, but it wasn't. Question 12. What book are you most looking forward to reading? For that, I have my In My Dreams type answer. I cannot wait to read The Winds of Winter by George R.R. Martin, book 6 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. I know I probably won't get that for a little while. Hopefully soon, but probably it's gonna be a while still. A book that I actually have now that I'm excited about reading. I have an issue with books. I'm excited to read a lot of books. That's why I have all these books, because I want to read all of them so bad. And I have trouble picking which one I'm going to read next because I just want to read all of the books. All of the books. But one that I'm going to be reading soon that I'm super excited about, that I'm probably the most excited about, is Witching Hour Theater by Jonathan Janz, because I've read 3 Jonathan Janz books so far and I have loved them all. He's just a really great author that I know I'm going to enjoy. That's how I got myself super hyped up about this one. So, yes, that is a book I can't wait to read. I am not gonna tag anybody specifically for this tag. This tag was super popular 2 or 3 years ago, and a lot of people did it. But if you're newer, if you have a newer channel, or if you didn't manage to do this one a few years ago, then please go ahead and do it and consider yourself tagged. If you like this video, you can hit like and subscribe, and I will be back very soon with another book related video. Thanks. Bye.